This session is for people who have begun using InDesign, even just a little bit, and are feeling somewhat overwhelmed and not quite sure how to really get moving in this amazingly fun and rich program. In this session, you'll be learning how to create high-quality content with a focus on master pages, paragraph, character, and object styles. We'll look a bit at libraries and numbering options. We'll take some time to look at color, and we'll wrap up by learning a great technique called data merge for creating automatic layouts. All the while, I'll be teaching you about font design and giving you layout tips so that you can go from zero to hero using InDesign. Thanks so much for joining. Let's dive in. Okay, my friends, here we go. The first thing that we really want to look at before we begin doing anything else is our workspace. Workspaces are the way in which we can manage the panels, or rather, which panels are hiding and showing while we do our work in InDesign. These do exist in other Adobe tools, but of course, we're concerned about InDesign. Let's take a look. Here we are in InDesign, and I already have a document open. And as you can tell, there's a lot of clutter going on, which means that, well, I'm not comfortable working like this, so I need to fix it. These are the panels that I had scattered around from my last work session, and I want to put them back. But not just that, I also want to show you how to create your own custom workspace to make it easy and comfortable for you to get to the things that you really need most of the time while you're working. Let's take a look at that. If we go up here to Window and click, the second choice down is called Workspace. It appears that I'm using the one called the Essentials Workspace, which is really not what this looks like at all. This does not look like the Essentials Workspace. It's a big mess. So first things first, if I want to clean this up, I'll go ahead and choose Reset Essentials. Now that does make everything neat and tidy, but there's a lot of panels floating around in places where I don't want them to be, and I'd like to see things set up a little bit differently. If I go to Window Workspace, another option I have is to pick a whole different workspace, such as, well, the Essentials Classic. Again, just taking a peek, there are other workspaces that I can choose from to help support different types of functions that I might be doing in InDesign, such as if I'm making some kind of a EPUB, I could choose digital publishing. Or another important one is interactive for PDF. When I choose this choice, I get the sample buttons and forms that I might use in an interactive PDF, and again, a whole bevy of other choices on the right side. But this isn't what I want either, so let me show you what I really do want. I'm going to start again by going to Workspace, Essentials Classic, which is okay, and as you can see, it left open the sample buttons and forms, so I can only wonder here if I do Workspace and reset Essentials Classic if that will go away. And it did not. It did not put away the sample buttons and forms. That's okay. I'll do it myself. Clicking to close a panel is pretty straightforward. If I want to clean this entire workspace off and start from scratch, here's what to do. I'm going to click here on the Swatches name on this tabby handle and click and drag Swatches over. And again, by clicking this little X, I've closed the Swatches panel. Additionally, I could go through and click on the Pages panel and notice that Pages, Links, and Layers are all linked to that or all combined into one cozy little panel. And I will go ahead and close those. And indeed, I'm going to close the color and the stroke panels as well, stripping out all of the existing panels that I had open. Here on the tool set, I'm going to drag this from left to right here. Then you'll notice a small arrow on the upper right corner. When I click it once, my tools seem to blend into the background here, I've moved it away so you can see it better. And I click again, and now I have my favorite tool set, which is the 2-column old school tool set, which I find the easiest to use, visually pleasing, and I'm going to set it here to the left. Now, if you're on a PC, you can't completely tear this tool panel off, but you can reset the alignment of the tools by clicking the small arrow. So this part is really the key. Now with the tools where I want them to be, I'm going to go to Window and open up the Pages panel. This is the #1 most important panel for me while I'm working. So Pages panel, setting that right up there, and then we can see the parts of the Pages panel, which include the Master Pages area and the Document Pages area. Another that I really like to have around is the Layers panel. Here's the Layers panel, and I will click and drag from its tabby handle and set it up here in the Pages, but click on the Pages panel itself to bring it up to the front. We can increase the height of the Pages panel, which will probably be helpful once we have more pages, maybe a little taller like that. And next I'm going to grab another one of my most favorites, and that is under Color, Swatches. The handy Swatches panel is the place where I can create and store colors, retrieve colors from, tint colors, and even open up color panels from. So with these items in place, I want to save this workspace so I can work with it again later, and when things get really messy again, as they likely will, I can reset to this nice tidy space and unclutter it all. To do that, we'll go Window, Workspace, and choose New Workspace. Choosing New Workspace, the New Workspace panel opens right up, and I can give this a name. My Clean Space. You can give your new workspace any name that works for you. I can capture the panel locations, which is really the point of doing all this, and any menu customization that I might have saved, which I have not. Most importantly, though, is when things get really hectic and messy, I can come back to this nice clean space called My Clean Space. Clicking OK, and check it out. If I start moving my panels around or open up other panels and use them and keep on working and open up even more panels, and then I hit that spot where I've had enough and I need to straighten up before I can keep on working, Window, Workspace, reset my clean space, boom, and everything goes back where it was. Isn't that a nice feeling? I sure wish I had that around my house. Creating a custom workspace, and of course this will save time and make it easy for you to find the most essential tools that you use on a regular basis in InDesign. Alrighty then, with our beautiful workspace engaged, ready to allow us to mess up and clean up our work anytime we need to, we're going to turn our attention to an idea in InDesign, or a set of techniques known as creating styles. If you take a look at the Window menu in InDesign and scoot down here to Styles, you will notice that there are 5 types of styles. For our class, we'll be focusing on character, object, and paragraph styles. There are paragraph styles, which are the building blocks of your text in your documents in InDesign. There are character styles, which are the tasty bits or special elements within paragraphs of text, or drop down here or there to make something look a little bit more styled and special than just with a paragraph. And there are the object styles, which are used for placing things like curved corners or shadows, or even outlines and colors on our boxes, panels, shapes, as well as our type easily and quickly in InDesign. First, we'll begin with paragraph styles, which are a collection of rules that you can define. Within InDesign, a paragraph style is a collection of both character and paragraph formatting attributes that will be applied to one or, that's right, many paragraphs throughout your document. Let's work on it together now. I have already begun a document. We'll talk again about creating new documents when we get into master pages. In the meantime, however, this page, page 2 in my document, already has some text in it. There are objects placed on the page, and these are 5 text boxes and a box with a small illustration in it. Although the box with the illustration in it is not really part of this lesson, I thought it would be nice to have something besides text to look at on our page. I have begun choosing some fonts for this page, and one of the things I'd like to point out is what is known as the hierarchy of the typography. The largest is the headline, which is accompanied by this small byline. Underneath, I have a subhead. These two are not the same font. If I click on my headline, I can see in the control panel that I've chosen Futura for my font. If I click on my byline, and in fact, double click on it, I can see that it's using Times Roman. My subhead text is using Avenir. My body copy is using Adobe Garamond. And this little piece, which is known as a pull quote, is also using Futura. One thing needs to be changed right away, and that is to follow my own rule of not having any more than 3 typefaces in any design layout. I need to change the byline to use the same font as the body copy. Maybe not the same size exactly, but definitely I don't want 2 more fonts to add to what I already have, the Futura and the Avenir. Again, down here we have Futura and Garamond and again Times New Roman. So I'm going to make the byline use the Garamond. I've selected the type, and as it turns out, Garamond is showing right up here at the top. And I have selected it, changing the text from Times to Garamond. The size I made it is 12:14, meaning 12-point type with 14.4 points of leading. As in the past, we use the points system to measure typography in graphic design. The amount of space between each line is known as the line height or leading. So we have 12-point type here with 14.4 points leading, meaning we have an additional 2.4 space in between lines to give our text some breathing room and make it more legible. Down here in the fonts that I showed you earlier, which are using Garamond for the body, it looks like I also have that same exact setting, which is 12 points text and 14.4 on the leading, and I think that looks just fine, so I am going to leave these both the same, which means that I can use the body copy for the byline and not have a special style just for it. To begin, it's important to recognize that the point of creating paragraph styles is to make it easier for you to design your documents as you continue to add pages and your document becomes more complex. It can be extremely tiresome to have to keep on selecting text and figure out what settings you put on other text within the document to make everything look consistent and well designed. Paragraph styles give us that ability to save our styles just as we need them to be and easily apply them to the other pages, which will eventually, of course, be added to our document. Here's how we do it. To begin, we'll go to Window and choose Styles, Paragraph Styles. The Paragraph Style panel has opened up, and it is nested with its pal, the Character Styles panel, We'll be taking a look at that one as well. But for now, let's just focus on paragraph styles. So I will tear it out and close character styles, bringing the paragraph styles up into my view, and we'll begin using it and talking about it right now. So now it is time to actually make our paragraph styles and see their power. Personally, I have an order in which I like to do things. The first style I'd like to create is the one for the headline, here where it says officially inspired. As you select the text that you have already styled, that is the type that you want to create paragraph styles out of, and you select it, you will notice that the Paragraph Styles panel reflects that this is Basic Paragraph Plus. What that means is that once upon a time it was Basic Paragraph, and that Plus means that you've changed it. It's just an indication that something has changed in the text elements on your page. To turn this into an actual paragraph style, here's the method. I'm going to come over to this flyout menu here in InDesign and click, and then choose the first option, which is New Paragraph Style. The New Paragraph Style dialog box has opened, and I'm going to give it a name. This is going to be the headline black. It's based on none, which means it's independent and doesn't have a root to any other or a connection to any other paragraph style. And very important is to make sure that you click on this button, this checkbox that says Apply Style to Selection. This makes sure that what you have created, headline black, is actually applied to the text that you made it from. And that's key. We'll go ahead and click OK, and then notice that it is no longer tagged as basic paragraph, but rather as headline black. Now, I don't really want to do this, but I'll show you what happens. If I select this text and choose headline black, oh my goodness, it's really large, it's using headline black, and that's not the correct font for my subhead. I'll just undo that applying of the text style, but the truth is it's ready to go, and that makes me happy. The text is already selected, and we will come up here to the Paragraph Styles flyout menu and click, and again choose New Paragraph Style. Here we see the name is ready to be added. This one will be Subhead Black. I'm giving these names the word black at the end as a way of telling myself later what color they are at a glance. It will be easy to read. And we'll use them to create other child paragraph styles as we move along in this session. Yes, make sure Apply Style to Selection is clicked on, and we click OK, and this one is now using subhead black. Terrific. All right, this one is the body copy. Text is selected, and there again I see that readout of basic paragraph. Sometimes this pops up and sometimes it doesn't. In any case, no problem there. We will click, choose New Paragraph Style, call this one Body Black. Apply Style to Selection is on, and click OK. And now, if I triple click to make sure all of the byline is selected, you'll see it says Basic Paragraph, and I'm going to switch it to using Body Black. It doesn't look any different, but in a moment we'll see why it is special and powerful that it has that applied to it. And the last one is this pull quote. Text is selected, flyout menu, New Paragraph Style, and pull quote black. Pull quote black, pull quote black is all ready, and we'll click OK. Excellent. Now what this means is, as I continue to lay out my content, I can use these styles and quickly make beautiful pages. Let me show you. Shifting the paragraph style panel over to the right. To the left I mean. Using my text tool, I will click and drag out a large box. My cursor is flashing inside of that box, and it would be using Myriad Pro 62 if I didn't do this first, which is choose headline black. And there is our beautiful next headline in the correct paragraph style. Beautiful. Next piece is going to be another subhead. Text tool, click and drag. And again, I like to choose subhead black before I begin typing. That way, if you click and select your paragraph style in advance, everything will be the right styles as you create them. All right, that one looks good. Next, we'll create some more paragraph text. This time I'm going to place it a little bit differently than the last one and let it sit across the whole width of the page to begin with. Choose body black, and this nice little feature, type fill with placeholder text, will save you some time typing. Body black is set up in this box, but what if I decide after the fact that I want to split this into 3 or 2 columns? Here's a nice little tip. Instead of having to draw out the columns, I've switched here to the selection tool, the regular selection tool, and the box is now clicked on or selected. Next, I'm going to go to Object, Text Frame Options. With text frame options now open, this dialog box allows me to change the number of columns in a text box. And so here I've changed it from 1 to 2, and indeed, I can slide over the text frame options box and click on the preview checkbox. Ooh, ah, to see how lovely that is. It's working well. So we'll click OK. If you decide that you need to add more text to this box and drag it down a bit, because it automatically flows from the left column into the right, there's now a gap. To accommodate some more text, or to fill this with more text, I will switch back to the text tool and I'll add a period there after that Greek word. And again, back into type and show you this. An additional time, fill with placeholder text, and it's beautiful. Okay, great. I'm going to leave the rest of this area open for a photo, and here's where I want to mention something about these 2 boxes. These 2 boxes are considered having their own purposes, which I will talk about when we tackle object styles. But in the meantime, here's a little background information. The one with the X in it, called the rectangle frame, is different than its friend over here, the regular rectangle tool. The one with the X in it, when drawn out, as I have done right here, perfect. The one with this X in it is the old school way in graphic design of indicating that a photo needs to go into this box, or an illustration. Back in the day, we would draw out all the boxes for our text and our graphics onto our illustration boards first with a light blue pen, otherwise known as non-repro blue. Then we would put an X in any boxes with that blue pen and write the letters FPO, for position only, onto that box. Nowadays, in the digital world, we just have the X in InDesign to remind us that that is a placeholder for a photo. Okay, in the next couple of steps, I'm going to show you some nice tweaks to do to this text and prove to you how helpful it will be to have your paragraph styles created when you want to make tweaks to your document, such as changing the font of any paragraph style and for creating what are known as based on styles. Moving right along, I want to show you a little bit about the inside of what is happening when we dig deep into one of these paragraph styles. First thing I'll say is make sure nothing is selected. So I've clicked away and can tell nothing is selected in my document. Now I'm going to come over to Headline Black and double click on its name, which launches the paragraph style options. Here's the name we gave it, and our other settings such as based on no paragraph style and that there is no next style. Next style is used when you want to tell another style to come up next after this style is typed. That might be, in most cases, subhead black, but for now I'm going to leave it just alone like this. Same style is fine. As we look further, here at Basic Character Formats, we can see the font we used, Futura, and the size as well. So any changes I make now to the headline black will be reflected in both places, here and here, both the left and right pages. Let's see it happen. First change I'll do is make the headline slightly smaller by clicking this down arrow, and I better turn on the preview checkbox here. You can see the type just got smaller back here. So this is one thing that we could do to alter the look of our text. I actually think that it's fine the size it was, but maybe the line height needs to change. I'm going to set this down to 56, which is known as setting the lead or line spacing solid. When the typeface and the leading are both set at the same size, we call that set solid. That's kind of nice. But I really can't see what's going on so well because my paragraph styles panel is in the way. So I will just click OK and get it out of the way for now, placing it over here on the right. And let's take a look what happened when I changed that font to set solid. I can see that the Y in the descending letters here, both these two Y's, are bumping right into this capital letter. And here the Y is hitting in this ascender. So the descender and the ascender are conflicting. Let's try something else. Moving right along, I want to show you a little bit about the inside of what is happening when we dig deep into one of these paragraph styles. First thing I'll say is make sure nothing is selected. So I've clicked away and can tell nothing is selected in my document. Now I'm going to come over to Headline Black and double click on its name, which launches the paragraph style options. Here's the name we gave it, and our other settings such as based on no paragraph style and that there is no next style. Next style is used when you want to tell another style to come up next after this style is typed. That might be, in most cases, subhead black, but for now I'm going to leave it just alone like this. Same style is fine. As we look further, here at Basic Character Formats, we can see the font we used, Futura, and the size as well. So any changes I make now to the headline black will be reflected in both places, here and here, both the left and right pages. Let's see it happen. First change I'll do is make the headline slightly smaller by clicking this down arrow, and I better turn on the preview checkbox here. You can see the type just got smaller back here. So this is one thing that we could do to alter the look of our text. I actually think that it's fine the size it was, but maybe the line height needs to change. I'm going to set this down to 56, which is known as setting the lead, or line spacing, solid. When the typeface and the leading are both set at the same size, we call that set solid. But I really can't see what's going on so well because my paragraph styles panel is in the way. So I will just click OK and get it out of the way for now, placing it over here on the right. And let's take a look what happened when I changed that font to set solid. I can see that the Y in the descending letters here, both these two Y's, are bumping right into this capital letter. And here the Y is hitting in this ascender. So the descender and the ascender are conflicting. Let's try something else. Again, I'll double click to open up the paragraph style options for headline black. Come into the basic character format options again. And you can see there's a setting here for case normal. What if I set that to all caps? Hey, I think that might be a good idea. And I do like the way that looks. You can see in both cases, it has changed and looks rather sharp. So the last thing I'm going to do is click the down arrow a few times, which will change the line height and bring the second line of our headlines up closer to the first line. I think that looks a lot sharper. So I'll click OK. I'm guessing at this point it's becoming obvious why paragraph styles are such a great thing. Okay, let's make a few more design tweaks here and then move on to making some more changes to our styles. One thing is that this byline needs to be moved up, and I'm going to do that with a key command. Actually, the up arrow on your keyboard will move items 1 pixel at a time, and I'll move it to the right a few pixels. And then here with my zoom tool, I will click and choose it. Click between the D and the byline a couple of times and check and see if these are lining up on their baseline. If I click and drag with the zoom tool, this click and dragging action with the zoom tool lets you zoom right in on a specific spot. And then you may notice I have my rulers showing, which I haven't mentioned yet. Rulers are great help. You can hide these rulers, you can show them again, and within rulers are guides. If I click and hold on the ruler and drag down, straight down, I've dropped down a guide, and it looks like I'm so close to the alignment that I need for this byline, but I'm going to move it away and then place it carefully right on this line so that they are both looking nicely placed on that guideline. Now I'm going to double click to zoom out. Double clicked on the zoom tool to zoom out and click away from everything. At the bottom of the tools panel is the preview button. This looks nice. And if I double click on the hand tool, that will fit us in window. Now, there are a few more tweaks that I want to do to this before I move on to tightening up my paragraph styles. More or less everything looks lined up. Let's check. If I click and drag my ruler guide down onto the top of this text box and click and drag another ruler guide down to line it up with that one. Okay, those look good. If I click and drag down another guideline for the top of that text frame and one for the top of this text frame, I just got lucky and everything lined up well. If you click on the preview, you see no boxes, although I do see that guideline. If I click away and away again, now I see no guides at all, and now everything is back, all of my guides, margins, and columns. Another little tip that I think you should know about is this one. Under Type, there's a thing at the bottom called Show Hidden Characters. If we look closely now, you can see here's a dog leg, kind of a marker, and here's a pound sign. The dog leg means soft return. The pound sign means end of a paragraph, or more specifically, the end of a story. The dot means a space. And I will zoom in. Here's the zoom tool again. Click and drag around this area with the zoom tool. And there is the paragraph marker. You might also notice I have a few spots in here where I did a soft return. And let me tell you what that means. On this line, which I am going to want to make into a sort of a paragraph header, I wanted the sentence that says a bit of bold text, and I wanted the sentence that says in nobis ul paribus to be on their own new lines. So instead of breaking the entire paragraph, I'm going to push them down with Shift Enter on the PC or Shift Return on the Mac. And the purpose of this is to not invoke another paragraph return, because I'm going to show you a unique and excellent setting for creating some space within the paragraphs that we'll need. Now, this line here, it is also pushed down, leaving this sentence that says a bit of bold text floating on its own line, which is exactly what I want. Last thing here is I want to make sure that my text box is lined up nicely. And again, I'm saying to myself, is everything lined up? And it is. Is this box lined up? No, it's not. Now it is. Is this box lined up? Well, this is the illustration box, and it gets a little exception because the art itself flows into the secondary column. So if I closed up this box that it's in up to the column edge, it would cut off the artwork, which I don't want to do. So we'll just leave that one as it is. Okay, now I'm ready to talk a bit more about what I have going here in the main paragraphs of text. As you may recall, I've already made the paragraph style for this one. Apparently, I closed my paragraph styles box, and I will reopen it again. There it is. My text is using body black. If we click away, that is a good idea to ensure that nothing is selected and cannot be changed or inadvertently switched to a different paragraph style. I also like to click away, making sure that everything in paragraph styles and everything on my document is not selected. Now I'll change something inside of body black. What I'm going to show you is how to make some nice spacing between paragraphs using what is called space after a paragraph. Before I do that, because I'm working from experience, I think I will increase the height of the box I have here. And just to mention once more, the idea behind this is not so much these pages to be a finished document, but to be a model for what will go on within the rest of this project itself. Getting the look and feel just right at the beginning. Okay, so nothing selected, really nothing selected. Click body black and double click it to enter into the paragraph style options. We also might want to take a look at the style settings right now, which are using the font Garamond Pro, which is fine, but maybe I want to switch it up. So here at Basic Character Formats, I want to look at it using another font I like a lot called Georgia. I think that this font is a little more legible because the letters are wider and slightly more bold. You can see the font itself is also still at 12 on 14.4 for the line height, but because it's slightly bigger, kind of like clothes that are made the same size but different brands seem to fit differently, this type fits differently in this paragraph. I don't dislike it. I think it's kind of nice, but I feel that there is a need for more line height. So let's increase that, not decrease it. And now I've got it up to 17. This is 16. 16 looks about right. The next setting is the one I promised to show you, and it's this one called Indents and Spacing. Everywhere I have an actual paragraph return in the body copy, I'll now have some space between the line where that paragraph ends and the beginning of the next paragraph if I use this, which is called space after. So I'll click up, and I now have 1/8 of an inch, 0.125 of space after each paragraph. Makes it a lot easier to read, doesn't it? Yes, I like it. Let's click OK. Keeping that setting, everything is still fitting nicely. The text inside of these areas now has some air and is more legible. My pull quote, it looks a little bit jammed in there now, so I'm going to click and drag on it using the selection tool to move it down. You can see it's not fitting all the way to the edge of its column. Clicking away and then choosing the preview option, one thing that's bothering me is that the columns are very close together, and considering I have a fair amount of space between the right side of the middle column and the artwork here, I think I can increase the column width. So before we do any more styling, let's do a tweak to this object, which is a text frame. So text frame options, and here are the number of columns I have, which is 3, and that is fine. I'm not going to balance columns. That will force the text to try and balance out. I like it manual, but I do want to increase the gutter. So this value here, I'm going to bring up, oh, that looks just right, I think, at 0.1875. We'll click OK, click away, and then turn on preview. Does that feel better? Not sure. Let's make sure everything's actually lined up in these boxes. Yeah, the text is lined up almost in the boxes. The pull quote text is its own independent piece. So I'm going to click on its bottom edge here to grab it and now move it over, decrease the size of the box, make sure that it's lining up exactly on the edge of the column, click away again and preview again. Looking better. I still feel like there's more air to be used, so back to the normal view, click on the text box and back to object, text frame options, and I'll increase the gutter a little more, click OK. The column has become slightly less wide because more room is being taken up by the gutter, and the spacing I feel looks better. Preview again. Yes, I'm digging it. One more thing before we go on to character styles, and that is I think the pull quote could use some love. So I'll just stay right here where I am and noticing that nothing is selected into pull quote black, double click to the right of it, and we will increase its line height a tad. Now it looks more pull quotey. The box is too short, so the text is flowing out or overset. And let's turn off hyphenation. Hyphenation is now the setting I am showing you, and with the checkbox on, it is hyphenating. With the checkbox off, it is not hyphenating. So that's better. Click OK. No more hyphens. The red box, or red plus in the out port, indicates there's more text in this box to be shown, and it's looking much better. Here at this tilde right before it, I'm going to press Shift, and that's Enter on the PC. And one more little tweak here with this tilde selected. Let's take a look here at the control panel. I'm on the control area of the control panel, which indeed is called control. You see, if I choose it, it'll hide, and if I choose it again, it'll come back. These are the paragraph options. Don't want these. These are the character options. This character is selected, and I want to move it down. In other words, I want to invoke baseline shift. This item is baseline shift, and if I click the down arrow, I can move the tilde over or lower so that it's lined up better with my text that says yours truly. I'm liking that a lot better. Nice. You'll also notice that pull quote black on this one character is showing me a plus, and that's fine. I don't want to change the entire pull quotes baseline shift, just this one character. Back to the selection tool and click away. Nothing is selected. Let's also remove the hyphenation from our paragraph text. Body black. Double click, go to hyphenation, check off of hyphenation. The text is running in over on this right side of the paragraph. And just as a bit of background information, you can control specifics about hyphenation when you do want it on, such as how many characters a word has to have before it hyphenates, where the hyphen has to go, where the hyphen can go, in other words, after the first 2 letters minimum and before the last 2 letters maximum, and how many hyphens in a word would be allowed. Now, I find it hard to believe that I know any words that have the need for 3 hyphens, but I suppose it does exist, probably in German. There's some really long words. The hyphenation zone means how close the text box is, or the element is, to the edge of the hyphenation. 0.5 is actually half an inch. That's a large setting. You can also slide this slider when needed to increase or decrease the number of hyphens, but it's off now, so these are all grayed out. Good, looks good. I'd like to minimize the amount of text that I have just so it's not so filled for my design sample. So I'll click and drag and remove a couple of lines, and I'm liking the way that looks very much. Again, the pull quote is its own box, which I did on purpose because I wanted to have it be able to float around and also show you some neat things as we move in a little while into object styles. All right, friends, I am going to talk more about paragraph styles when we get into master pages. There's definitely going to be a use for them there that we haven't tackled here, and these are the basic things you'll need to know. However, I haven't mentioned character styles at all, and last time I opened up the paragraph styles panel, the character styles panel came along with it. If yours isn't open and you want to open it now, I'm going to close mine and go Window, Styles, Character Styles. I think the best use for character styles is in the flow of text when you really want to change just one thing. I like to think about character styles as the raisins inside of a larger amount of bread. So if character styles are the raisins inside of raisin bread and paragraph styles are the bread, character styles are just to spice things up a little bit here and there. Let me show you how they work. If I select my text tool and select this text that says own your process, come up to the character control and change this to bold, the paragraph style says body black plus. Now I could make this its own paragraph style, and I would make it its own paragraph style if I wanted to control the space after it more specifically, or needed to make this text element stand out from the paragraph. But I think it looks fine flowed in. I don't want to keep hand selecting text and giving it bold. And if I make this a new paragraph style right now, I'll have to make sure that there's a hard return between these two. Otherwise, this whole paragraph will turn into the bold style. So to avoid that, I can use a character style. Clicking the flyout for paragraph style, I'll add a new character style, and I will call this one body, black, bold. It's its own thing. It's not based on anything. And we'll notice now that I've selected it, making sure that it's actually applied to the text, which I did not when the panel was open. Here I'd like another little highlighted sentence. So I'm going to move this word beatum down a line with a shift return, remove the period, select the text, and it's now body black bold. Click, shift return, select style. Here I will select and style. Click away. It's looking quite nice. Here's a remnant that I might want to fix. This word raw is very short and should probably be pushed onto the next line. Shift, return. Scooting over to the right side, as you can see, my paragraph turns were very strategically placed earlier so that I can select my text and use the character style of body black bold. And here is one more, and this will be the last one. Shift, return, double click, body black bold. Everything's looking great. Very pleased with how this is coming along, and I do believe we're ready to move on from paragraph and character styles into talking about object styles. Window, Workspace, reset my clean space. All is right with the world. And now it's time for object styles. Ah, okay, wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. We're going to pick up not exactly where we last left off because I have traded out this file for one that has a few more items in it as we begin to work on object styles, master pages, library, and data merge, continuing along in our session. Now we are on to working with object styles. Object styles include settings for stroke and color and transparency and drop shadows. You can include paragraph styles and text wrap and much more with them. Under Window, we'll go to Styles and Object Styles. I actually was making a style here earlier, which I'll show you how it works. And we'll make one together right away. It's so easy. So the first thing is the style we're going to be making is for a panel or a box. Panels are often used in graphic design to set off text and make it look more emphasized. You might also notice here that I am on page 2 and I've added some things to this document. And of course, we'll be looking at those shortly. Object styles are not too different from paragraph styles or even character styles. They're just more, and they tend to lean to be working with graphic elements, but not exclusively. Let me show you exactly what I'm talking about. In my Object Styles panel, you'll notice there's one here called Inline Image. If you have your Object Styles panel open, you won't have this one because I created it earlier, and I will show you all about it as well. For now, however, let's get organized. I just selected the illustration by clicking on it. I have the selection tool And I noticed that if I look at the layers panel, there's a blue dot showing up. If we twirl down, the thing that's selected is actually Teammate 01 AI, and that's my illustration file. If I hide and show, that is indeed the illustration piece, or that image. To get it up into its own layer, there's a couple of ways to do that. One, I'll show you while we're in the text boxes layer. You could click on that name and drag it up, and that would drop it into the images layer. You can see if I hide and show, that image goes away. I'm going to undo that, however. The other way is a little neater. You can select the image, and here's that blue dot again. I will click and drag right up into the images layer, and I can lock this layer, which is really helpful. Keeps me from selecting this when I don't want to. I've just clicked down here in the lower right-hand corner of the left page, and text box is what got selected, and that is fine. Now you can work directly on a specific layer. Here I'll lock text boxes in the layers panel and select the panels layer itself. Come over to the zoom tool, and I will click and drag a box. I'm on scrubby zoom there. Zoom tool, rectangle tool, creating on the panels layer. Make sure you click it to target it, and that layer is now targeted. And I will click and drag out a box. This box has no fill and no stroke. And I'm going to give it a fill color, clicking the eyedropper tool of something from this artwork, such as this light blue hair. Now, the image is an RGB image, and InDesign is telling me that it's putting in the closest color it can to that graphic. It looks nice, but it could be a lot better, and that's where object styles come in. Now, there are so many things, numerous things that you can do with object styles, too many to go over all in this session, but let me show you a few of my favorites. With this object selected, I'm going to go to Object and Style the object. So under Object Effect, one thing I could add is a drop shadow. This will open up the drop shadow panel. With the preview checkbox clicked on, I can see the drop shadow. It's quite dark, so we'll lower the opacity here. I like that better. We can also change the angle with this dial. I like it coming from the lower left. Make it closer, click, or further. That looks better. Yeah, so that's one thing. If we see here in this effects panel, there are many objects that we can, there are many choices. There are many choices that we could explore, such as shadowing, glowing, both inner and outer glow, beveling the edges and embossing them, doing feathering or gradient feather. Lots of fancy stuff, as well as the blending modes that control all of the fine-tuning of every individual effect. Quite a lot there. I'm going to just leave the drop shadow as it is, settings for the object. I haven't saved them yet. Object Styles is reflecting that this is none plus. And let's add a little more style to it, such as an outline. Here we'll select the outline portion of the color picker on the tools panel. And I want to apply a color. I can do so either here or here. I'll do it from the tools panel. Double click, and I'm going to just choose a darker kind of blue color. That looks about right. And now I have a stroke on my object of 1 point. Let me click away and show you what this looks like. Nice. And here's the preview. Looking great. Let's go ahead and take this one step further by playing with the corner options. I'm going to make sure my object is selected again. Go to Object, And then if you zip down here to where it says effects, there's also corner options. We can link or unlink. Now it's linked, how the corners look, and there is a preview checkbox. Make sure that's turned on. And here I'll round these corners. I like the simple effect of that. Very nice. And there's a lot of fancy things that you can play with to add some character to your design work. Not bad at all. I'm going to go and click OK. And now what if I want to use this again somewhere in my document? This style was a number of clicks for me to arrive at this actual design element. You guessed it, I can save it as an object style by choosing New Object Style, which will reveal all of the possible settings, ones that you have set and ones that you could set. A quicker way to do this, I'll click Cancel, is to just click this little button, Create New Style, and make sure that your new style that just got created is applied to the object. So there it is, Object Style 1, and it's applied to the artwork itself. I can rename it by double-clicking it, which will take me again into that Object Styles panel. I'll give it the name, Fancy Teal Box, based on none, and click OK. To apply that to another place in my document, I'll grab the rectangle tool again, and let's see, if I create a box that goes all the way across both pages, what would that look like with this style? Fancy teal box, there it is. Zoom tool, and here I'll click a couple of times on the word tips. Move it up a bit. As easy as that, it's in place. Double-clicking the hand tool to fit back in window, and if you press the Tab key on your keyboard, you can hide all of your panels. So earlier I made another style, and it's called the Inline Image Style. What is this about? I'm going to scroll down to my page 5 here. It is using a really similar layout to what I created on the first 2 pages. And I want to put an image on this page, and I want the text to wrap. So if I create a box and click and drag it out, choose File, Place, and I'll get this one called Women's Stock. Well, it doesn't fit, but it's also blocking the text, or the text is blocking it. If I choose my style called Inline Image, however, the text immediately wraps around that box, and there's a drop shadow. Just real quick, object fitting, quickly choosing Content Aware Fit. To move the picture inside of the box, I'll mouse over till I see this disc. Using the regular selection tool, I can glide the picture into the position I want it, like so. Voila. All right, cool. Let's examine this particular box called Inline Image, which lives in our Object Styles panel. Nothing is selected, so it won't inadvertently get the inline image style applied to it. Let me tell you about how I made this one. I'm going to just put this over to the side of my page and create another image box. And you'll notice what happened here was that immediately this box acted as if it had a text wrap on it. That is because the last shape that I created had this text wrap on it, and text wrap can be a little bit sticky. If I come over to Object Styles, however, I'm going to clear the overrides. And now this is back to a normal box. So when that happens to you, and it may, clear overrides is your friend. So I'll go through the steps of inserting the image again, File, Place, Women Stock, Object, Fitting, and this time I'm going to use my fitting option of choice, which is fill frame proportionately. Not always the fastest, but I do like that just fine. The next setting we'll need is Window Text Wrap. With the Text Wrap panel now open, I'm going to choose the second choice in from the left. The first choice is No Text Wrap. The second is Wrap Around a Box, which this is. The next is for Shape, and I'll be showing you that one too. And later on in our Master Pages lesson, we'll go into Jump Object and Jump to Next Column more in depth. So stay tuned for that. Now we have text wrap on this box because I've chosen the Wraparound Bounding Box option, and I can increase the margin around the object by clicking the up arrow, decrease it by clicking the down arrow. And yes, I can unlink so that I can change how much the image wraps around which part, left, right, top, or bottom. Clicking inside the shape but not on the disk, and I can poise this image just in the right spot, and all my text still flows and fits. Finally, Object, Effect, Drop Shadow, change the angle, decrease the opacity. Perfection, and click away. So it's likely apparent that I could go on forever teaching you more and more about any of these things, paragraph, character, or object styles. However, we do have more to cover in this session, including master pages, libraries, and we'll do a quick look at data merge. Moving right along, it is time for master pages. So, with no further ado, we're going to move right into working with master pages. Close the text wrap, close the object styles, click on the Pages panel to bring it to the front, and we will take a look at the Pages panel. The Pages panel is separated into two different areas. The top area is the master area, and the bottom of the Pages panel is the document pages themselves. By default, when we start an InDesign file, InDesign treats us to a little favor. Even if we don't want it, it puts the A master on every single page that you create. Unless you change it, that A master, here signified by this little A on these pages, is raring and ready to go to help you out adding elements to your work. So that A master comes along with any new InDesign file, as does this thing called the None master. Now, I'm going to come over here to this left-facing page in A master and double-click on it. And down here at the lower right of the document window, you see it now says A master. Let me just quickly review. Page 2 shows page 2 down here in the lower left. Page 4 shows page 4 down here in the lower left, and double-click on the master page shows A master. And so before, a little while ago, I put this green rectangle onto this A master. So the green rectangle, if we look a little deeper at page 4, is there. But the green rectangle, if I double click on page 2, is not there. And that is because I used this choice called None and dragged it onto 2 to make that master object go away. Click and drag None, and now there's None on 4 and None on 2. And click and drag A, and click and drag A, and on both pages, there is A. If I add a new page to the end of the document, by default, The next page is a left-facing page and does have that master element on it. So here's how it's done. Double-clicking up on Master A and scooting over a little bit. Selecting the master object on the left-facing page, I'm simply going to choose Copy and Paste in place, and then slide it over so that it's also on the right of A as well as the left. And if we go to page 3, it's there, and if we go to page 4 and 5, it is there. So back up to page 2. Now, let's say you wanted a little bit more than just a green box on your page. You wanted some information to help tell the story of your document. Earlier, I added a cover page, Team 12, Living Innovations. So I'm going to take this piece and hold the Shift key down, and also take Create and Thrive pieces and copy them, edit copy, to make quick work of going over to the master page and pasting these objects. I'm going to use them in my header, but I think I'll scale them way down. A quick way to resize something is down here on the right side of the Tools panel. Underneath this Rotate tool that I have showing is one called the Scale tool. And with that chosen, as well as the object I want to resize, I can click, press the Shift key, and this whole little lovely object is now fitting nicely on my page on the left side. And I'm going to move it up a little closer to the outside edge. And I'll do the same thing here with this text, Create and Thrive. And you know what? We'll just move that one over to the right side. Again, using our Scale tool, click and drag, holding the Shift key. Now I have some identification of what this page content is all about and what document it's for. My friendly ruler has some ruler guides in there, dragging that out to be the top of Team 12 here. And I think I got lucky again with my aligning objects. So I will just pull this one up and over, make it line up, make sure it's on the right layer, and this should be the text boxes layer, and it is, and this is the text box layer, and it is. Sliding Create and Thrive over to the left a bit and bringing 2021 up. Should this text be a little smaller? Maybe. As you probably know, this is another way of resizing. The regular old resize way. Don't want it 6 points, but I think that 17 looks pretty good. And I think I'll delete the 2021 here and just type it into this line of text. Slide it over to the left a bit, slightly inside the page, comparing the left and right side. Looks pretty good. And back to the pages themselves. I'll select the object on the master page, and now when I look at the spreads, you can see I have a header here. I'll press the Tab key to hide all my menus. Press the Tab key again to bring it back, and just one little tweak here is got to happen on the A master left. I'm going to move both of these objects, both sides actually. So they're staying within that outer margin. Check it again. Press the Tab key again, preview, Looks nice. So one more thing here to make this a little more finished looking. Back over here into the A Masters, I want to add a stripe, another block of color, back into my workspace. For normal, rectangle shape tool, I'm going to zoom out a hair using Control minus or Command minus. That's more than I want to zoom. So let's try 50, and I'll press the Tab key. I'll press the Tab key to hide my menus. And I have the rectangle tool selected. I'm clicking and dragging out another little rectangle here. Now, immediately when I draw this, it wants to put on the last object style used. So I need to show you how to remove that. Window, Styles, Object Styles. It wants to use Inline Image. I want it to use None. Tab key for my menus. And here I'll fill it with that blue. That looks way better. In fact, let's put this light color up a little higher and draw this box so it comes down underneath the text. So where is the panel? The panel needs to be on the panels layer. Click and drag the blue dot down, make sure that layer is unlocked, and set it right under there. Where is the text? Hiding, selecting. So if you're not super aware of where you're putting things on the layers, you can always move them back up to the right positions as you go, which I've just shown you how to do here. Back to pages. Here, let's zoom out using a magnification that we hand set of 40. Way better. Way better. What does it look like on page 2? And what does it look like in preview? And not bad at all, and looking like a real publication should. The next thing we need to add to this master page set is page numbers, and I'm sure you can agree that that is crucial. So heading back over to the master pages, I think I'll close the Object Styles panel, double click, and tell you how page numbers are added in InDesign. Jumping over to layers, making sure that nothing is selected here, I'm going to first come into text boxes and create a small text box. And so numbers or page numbers have a funny little thing they do. You can actually type anything in on this page. Here I'll type a 5, getting the zoom tool, zooming in. And I will select this text. The size is Georgia on 12. I think I need my styles for paragraph styles. And I'll give this one subhead black. It's nice and big so we can see it well. Then I'll close the paragraph styles panel. Select the text and go to Type, Insert Special Character, Markers, and then Current Page Number. Now, if anything could be more well hidden in InDesign, I don't know what it would be. This is a very important feature, how to put in a page number on a master page. It's Type, Insert Special Character, Markers, Current Page Number, and when I choose this choice, this object turns into a letter A. So here's our A. I'll unselect it, and you can see that the A comes in onto this page as A because this is an A master. It's on the text boxes page. I'm going to set it down here at the lower right corner of my page and bring up the bottom of the text box just enough. Back to the Pages panel, double click the hand tool to zoom out. And on page 2, it's page 2. On page 4, it's page 4. There are no page numbers on the other pages yet because I haven't placed them on the master yet. Let's head back into A master. Again, zoom tool. I'll click a couple of times on my A. I think I'd like it smaller. Click and drag across it. And here I'll reduce the size of the text using the down arrow. Still using Avenir. And since this is just a master page item, I'm not going to worry about it being any special style at all, but just make sure I like the way it looks. Again, page 2, looking better. Preview, much nicer. Master page left, select the A, move it over a few clicks, click away, go to 2. That looks just nice as anything. To get the page number on the right side of the master pages, I'm going to go to master page left again and double click the hand tool to be fit in window. Go to the normal working view. And using my zoom tool again, a couple of clicks. And now I'm going to create a little box. This is just for the sake of being quite aware of the distance. Heading over to make sure everything is going to be set correctly when I create this work, to styles and to object styles, and I want to make sure that this is on basic graphics frame, not on any of these other styles. Getting the rectangle tool and switching the fill to black and the stroke to none before I begin to draw by clicking this little arrow. Now, placing my cursor at the left edge of the page, I'm going to click and drag carefully up to where the letter A begins from the left edge to the left edge of the A. And with this little box in place, again, I'll zoom out, double click the hand tool, and take this little box, click on it. Using the shift and right arrow, I will speedily move it over to the right side. This will give me a perfect measure so that I know that my page numbers are consistently spaced from the edges. Zoom tool, click, 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 move tool, and a few more clicks and I've got it. Back over to the left page, I will select this object and do it by doing copy and then paste in place. That puts it right on top of the first one, and as I begin to move it over, it won't align until I tell this text object, triple click on the text, to use up here in the control panel, right align. Zoom tool again, click a couple of more times, click away, and remove my block. When I return back to double click on my hand tool and to my pages 2 and 3, I now have automatic page numbering. One of the things I'll mention is that I gave each one of these text boxes for the numbers enough room so that it would have the ability to increase numbers without getting cut off if the pages got up into the tens of thousands. I know, that's funny. Okay, page numbers are in place, and we're very happy about that. Saving my page again. And I will close the Object Styles panel. Now, to make another point regarding master pages and why they're so super, is that we can have as many master pages as we want. I don't believe there's any limit. You probably won't run into any problems in terms of having multiple masters, as I have learned over time. If I want to make a new set of masters, and I want them to have their own look and feel so that I can see how my documents might look with a different style applied to them, I can go to the Pages panel here, select in the Master Pages area, and from the flyout window, I will do New Master. And the new master can be named. You could name any of your masters something more specific to what you're doing with them. I will just let this be Master B. And to show you how this works, again, I'm going to put something on this master page. So I just checked a moment ago, and I'm pretty darn sure that everything is okay with my document. And I can draw comfortably without using any styles on here. And I'm just going to put some circles, initially black circles, and we'll change their color. I'll just use some light color green. Light color blue. And a light color pink. So this is now hiding under here, B Master. B Master does not have a page number. A quick way to use your page numbers from your previous page or your previous masters is to double click. I'll zoom out and I'll select both of these numbers with a click and drag using my regular selection tool. Again, that's a marquee selection, making a box to select these, and we'll do edit copy, switch to B Master, and do edit paste in place. And you can see they automatically are dropped down in the exact correct place and have turned into B because these are the B Masters. Now, if I head over to page 2 and grab master page B left and drag it onto 2, I now have circles instead of a bar. There is a remnant of this bar here, which tells me that on A Master, this blue rectangle was touching. So that it means it's probably coming from the original master. The A Master is still being applied there because it's somehow touching this page. Selecting this rectangle proves the point, and that is to say, when you have a shape that is going across more than one page, it will show up on both pages. This is A Master, and I'm scooting this over so that it's only on half of the page. And again, edit copy, edit paste in place, and I will move this one over to the other side. Make sure it's really just up to the edge and no more. And when I go back to page 2 where B has been applied, that bar is gone. If I want to go back to B Master and indeed copy and paste some of these shapes again, I'll just do it quickly. And return back to 2 and 3. Put B Master right on 3, and voila, we have a whole new look to our document. So you can see how powerful master pages can be for your work. We're going to look at them more when we move into the next session, where I'll be teaching you about how to use templates in InDesign. For now, I think you get the idea. And of course, there's much more to come. Next up is working with the library. And I'm going to fold that into the master's lesson to show you some of the cool things that you can do to continue leveraging tips and methods for speeding up your production in InDesign. Yes, friends, now we are ready to move into working with library items, and then directly following that, data merge. So we're going to segue from this document into another one where we're going to make the most of both of those concepts. And then again, we're going to revisit these concepts and these files in the next session, where we will explore working with a design style guide, making some updates to our main InDesign file, turning it into a template, and exploring a handful of other template resources and options. So I am going to switch over here to this file I have for us to look at, which is called Business Card Final. Now we'll look at how to build this file. We'll make some custom colors and save them in our Swatches panel, and also use the InDesign library and touch upon the Adobe Creative Cloud libraries as well. Let's take the Swatches panel and move it up so we can see it better. I'll increase the height so we have space to put our swatches in. Then, using the eyedrop tool, I'm going to sample this light blue color from the color band. When I click it, InDesign is telling me that since the graphic I'm sampling color from is RGB and it's not the highest resolution possible, InDesign will make its best guess at creating a custom color in RGB for what I've just picked. Here's my new color, and to keep it inside of this Swatches panel, I'll click the plus button, and it adds my swatch to the panel, which is just fine. With the first color saved, I will choose another one, selecting the eyedrop tool, and I'll come over to this bar, click, there's the new color, and I've saved it. Refresh the eyedrop tool, click the next color, save it, refresh the eyedrop tool again, and save again, and one last time. Refresh, select, OK. And there's my palette. This is my custom palette in InDesign. I'm going to create a folder just for these colors, which is called a new color group. This first one was actually already selected, so it went into my color group, but I'll click, hold the Shift key down, selecting all the remaining colors and drag them down into my color group. I just want to go one at a time, and that'll be fine. I can rename the color group, Team 12 Colors. And now if I save this document or decide to share these swatches, it'll be very clear to anybody who's working on this project with me what colors to use. Excellent. Now begins the libraries part of the lesson. To create a library, we'll go File, New, and there it is, Library. When I choose Library, InDesign opens up the CC Libraries and Libraries panel, letting me know that I can share my content across the CC library with my collaborators and also with myself if I'm working in Illustrator or Photoshop. So for this first one, I will create a CC library to show you how that's done and to get started with that process. And I'll click Yes. My Adobe CC library opens up and it shows me all kinds of things that I've saved into my library, into my CC library in the past. These are colors that I saved previously from the Adobe Color website. But for now, I want to show you how to make a set of swatches, which we'll also use in our templates session for the custom colors of this project, and place them in a specific custom library here in CC Libraries. So to begin, I'll make a new page that I'll use temporarily to begin the color guide process. I've clicked on the new page icon, and I'm coming over to the rectangle tool in InDesign, choosing no stroke, and putting one of my fill colors, in fact, my first color of this dark teal color, and making a square. Now I'll continue. Now I'm going to continue by pressing the Option on the Mac, which is Alt on PC, click and hold, and drag out a copy. Choose the next color. Again, Option or Alt, click and drag. Let go of the mouse and then the key, green. Key, click, drag. Mouse up, key up, color, and then one more time. Alt, click and drag, just made it in there. And there's my colors. I might want to give this a label, and I'll do that with black. Let's not change the color of that guy. And I'll call this one Team 12 Colors. very rapidly here. I'll change the font to my Futura. And here I'll select this again so you can see. And I'll click and drag and just drop it right here. It says Artwork 1. And there it is. It's this artwork that I can grab later right from the CC library if I want to use it in Illustrator or Premiere or even in another InDesign document. I'll give it a custom name. Team 12 Colors. And we'll come back to that a little bit later. For now, I'll just go ahead and close this CC library. And I want to make a new one, a new library that is, and this time it's going to be an InDesign library. So I'll choose New, Library, and this one is going to be a custom library just for this session. And building content for the Team 12. So I'll call this one Team 12 IND library, and it'll be saved in my Session 1 folder, and I'll click Save. Now what I have is what looks like an empty panel, and it is indeed an empty panel. And I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to just take these colors and drop it in here. So I have my first library item, and again I'll call it Color. Now remember, an InDesign library is local, and you don't need to be online to use it, whereas a CC library is for sharing across multiple Adobe products. I'll place the library off to the side now and close the Swatches panel to get it out of the way. I have my Links panel open. I will close that one as well. And I am safe to go ahead and delete this page. Scoot things back over. Besides putting a batch of colors into my InDesign library, I can also put graphics. This is a graphic that I imported from Illustrator earlier today. I can just click on it and drag it and drop it, and it remembers its own name. It's header art full because it goes across the full length of a page. And I can also put some other pieces again. And I can also put some other pieces in as well. Logos are a great thing to put in, but this is not just a logo. So let's look at this technique again of creating a page for the use of making a library. Again, a temporary page, create a new page, and then I'm going to import a few items from my creations in Adobe Illustrator. We'll go File, Place, and I have a few things here, such as the header art corner, and I'll place that down. Click away, File, Place, the header art half, which is for just one 8.5 by 11 page. And I'll drop those into my special library here. Great, and now I can delete them off the page. A couple of more pieces that we'll use in designing our business card. Place. I have one here called Just People. And these are the team people, and I'll drop them in. Then I can delete them. And finally, I'll choose Place. This one is the entire logo that's on the card. That could be a good one to have. And I can actually, this would be a good one to have, so I'll place this one. Again, it's the entire front of the card. And I'll drop this one down. And I'll place another, which is just the text. Team 12 logo text. Click and drag. There it is, and drop it into the library. Great. Now I'll delete this page. And we're ready to design the card from scratch. And we're ready to design the card from scratch. Since I already have the front of the card done, I'm going to focus on the back. First deleting this piece that I have at the top. And then I'm going to click and drag and drop out header art full. And you can see it's perfectly and precisely ready to go right into that card. And I think I'll have the just people, or maybe there's one more piece that I actually need that I forgot. That is a bar or a band of color that I have, which is this piece right here. So one more time here, I'm going to go File, Place, and I should have one here called Header Art Bar. There it is. And first I'll drop it, and then I'll drag it over into the library. And again, you'll see if I want it, I can click and drag, drop it out. Here I'll come to the corner and rotate it, place it so it's a bit over the bleed line, squish it a little. The other thing you'll notice on my card is that I've already placed down some crop marks, and there's one missing up here at the upper left of the back of the card. So with the zoom tool, I'm going to click on this corner and scoot over and show you what these crop marks are made out of. They are just simply a single small line that I made with the line tool. So here I'll copy this one and paste it in place so it pastes right on top of its friend there, and start moving it over to hit the crop lines. Zooming in, clicking again, and making sure this is placed exactly on that line. And there it's done. Double click on my hand tool, and I'm fit in window, and I'm using the hand tool to scoot over. One thing I can tell is this line is a little high, this bar, so I'll move it down a bit. And you can see how it exceeds or goes past my little guideline there. And that is to make sure that when this card gets cut at the printer, it doesn't lose any of its cute color on the edge. This space from the edge of this guideline outside of that guideline is called the bleed. That's another thing I'll talk to you more about in my next session. For now, the card design is ready to go. We've talked a bit about libraries, and we're ready to move into the next part of our session, which is called Data Merge. Data merge, what is it and how can you use it? The idea behind data merge is the ability to take a data type file. It can be a TXT file or a CSV file, which you can export from Excel, and use it in InDesign to take a template such as this. Well, this isn't exactly a template yet because I haven't saved it as a template, but it could be. Hint, hint, that's what's coming up in my next session. That's right, templates. Our library is still sitting out here, and if you recall, it actually is its own independent file. So if I close it now, I can open it up again later when I need it. So I'll close that one. And under Window, Workspace, I'm just going to choose my clean space again. and it's reset. Ooh, ah. Now, I'm also going to need the paragraph styles I made in our previous document. If I go to the paragraph styles now and open up paragraph styles, there are no paragraph styles in here. And now here is a crazy trick. I'm going to come into the original file we were designing on. Second page contains a variety of pieces. It has headline, byline, subhead, body copy, and I do believe we made a character style for this one. And yes, it is body black, bold. So the trick is, and yes, I could take this piece from my object styles along with me, why not? But if I take these pieces all over to the other file by going Edit, Copy, Switch Files, let's get that drawing stuff out of the way there, and paste, and voila, 1, 2, 3, 4 paragraph styles and my character style. This means that I can delete all of the pieces I just pasted in and still keep the paragraph styles in this file, as well as the character style. So isn't that nice? The next piece I need to make my data merge happen is a text box, and I'll drop this into the middle of my page, and a data file. Let's take a look at what this data file looks like here. I will toggle over to my text editor, and this is a TXT file. What this file defines on the first line, name, role, email, and phone are separated by commas for each item, except for there's no comma after phone. And then each line corresponds directly to this comma delimited line of text. The comma delimited line of text. So here in this TXT file, we have the first sentence, so to speak, as name, comma, space role, comma, space e-mail, comma, space phone. And each of the subsequent lines, we have 4 of them, are the name, role, email, and phone number of somebody on our team. InDesign allows us to take a file like this and import it, and then quite quickly be able to create a set of documents reflecting all of the content we have here. And for our business cards, this is a great way to automate the process and not have to create each card one by one by hand. Jumping back over into InDesign, we'll go and open the data merge panel. This is an odd one, kind of a strange place. It's under Window Utilities Data Merge. It's a little hidden in there. And the next step here is to select the file that I want to merge into this document. And the next step is to select the document that I want to use for my data merge, which is that text file I just showed you. Select data source. Team names TXT. And there we have it. File is open, and we can take these items one at a time and drag them into our text file. With my data merge panel open, the next step is to take each of the parts of the data and drop it into the text box. And in between each of these, I'm going to put a return, which is a paragraph return. Drop the next one, paragraph return. And there we are. And I will save my file. Following this, I'll click on the preview checkbox, and the content jumps right in there. For each one of these now, each line, I'm going to select it and give it the proper style. Now, some of these are going to be too big, like the headline black for the name. And I'll jump that way down to 18, and the name fits well. And then for the CEO part, the role, or how about pull quote black? That's what I want. I think I will also use that for the email address and the phone number. These look a little bit big and a little bit heavy, so I'm going to make the phone number be smaller. And I think it would be nice if everything aligned to the center, so I'll select all here and click on the center icon and click away. Not bad. Maybe the role should be a little larger. I'll use the selection tool to click away from the box. And here on the data merge panel, as I click the arrow key, I can see all 4 of these laying out quite nicely. Go back to the first. And let's make this smaller again. I'm going to try Futura and look at it with the preview on. Click through again. From the character panel, I've chosen body black bold, the email address here. I think I will try this other style I have, the body black bold there. That's a little bit nicer. And just so you know, if you wanted to make the entire thing smaller, again, you could do so with the scale tool. Here's my scale tool. And I'm going to click and drag, making everything quite a bit smaller. Moving this object over till I see it centering with the card. Smart Guide, and click through again. So it's quite adjustable. Great. Now here's the last step. To export these business cards that I've used Data Merge to create, I'll go to the flyout menu and choose Export to PDF. And this is what I can send to my printer. Export to PDF, range all, and the same as all records. Click OK. Make sure I know where I'm putting my PDF. It'll be a high quality print PDF. Export it. And I'm going to put it in my Session 01 folder as Business Card Final. It'll be saved as a PDF. I'll write all there for the name and click Save. It's not liking my Futura bold, but I'm going to go ahead anyway and see what it does. This is great. No overset text was generated. That means no errors. So I will toggle over to Acrobat and open my file. Open. Business Card Final, all, and open. It's 4 pages. Beautiful business cards ready to go to the printer in no time at all.